Time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Are we on?
We are on.
Welcome.
We're live. How you doing?
Good, good, good. How are you?
Not bad. Can't complain.
All right.
Everybody listening and or watching, welcome to Dart Talk. Steve Penunciello with Mystery Mark. Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks. Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts, Melissa Frank, Jeff Dodson, Aaron, Sam the intern, the whole cast.
He's doing
and
a
crew.
good job, I think.
I haven't heard any complaints.
Right.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Disclaim everything.
Let's disclaim
Get that out of the way.
Right away.
Right away.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
And so be it.
That's the way it is.
How was your weekend?
Let's see. What did I do? It was all right. I played crappy golf and watched some football. Bears played well, and I work on Saturdays. But yeah, it was fine.
I had a good fantasy week.
My teams are awful.
Yeah. I have one bad team that no fixing can help. I remember the draft, too. I remember I was going to take a guy, and then somebody drafting ahead of me always took the guy I wanted for like 10 straight rounds. It was brutal.
I've given up. I got guys that might play but might not play, and you got to tune in Sunday morning, but I'm on the golf course, and I don't get on my phone, and next thing you know, I get done, and no, granted, they didn't play. Here I am with 0 points, and I'm just like, you know what, I just don't have time for this, and I've given up.
All the number one picks are failing miserably,
awful.
Except for a couple.
McCoy finally had a good week, but he's already killed my team, so it doesn't really matter.
Killed one of my teams.
Yeah,
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, A.J. Green's out.
Jimmy Graham.
Forte finally had a good week, and he was killing teams before this.
He's done all right. Lacey stunk.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson, what's he done? I mean, I was in one draft. I swear to God, the number one pick in the entire draft was Peyton Manning, and I thought it was stupid. It's looking really bright right now.
Absolutely.
Not that we're a fantasy football show or anything, but
Cowboys are playing well there, Phil.
Yeah, I had an interesting weekend. Oh, Cowboys. I was shocked that they beat Seattle. Well, because it worked out good for me because I wanted to watch the darts. Mm-hmm. So the Grand Prix was on, which is like one of my favorite PDC tournaments. It's 501 double in, double out set format.
Okay.
Right? So sets are best of 5, alternate start. And I think the final, you had to win 5 sets.
Is it the only tournament where they do double in, double out on 501?
Only one I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And it was funny. Every now and then, somebody will be like, well, what do you want to play? And I'll be like, let's play double in, double out 501, because it's fun. It's a fun change of pace. And I haven't heard any of the players really complain about it, but, I mean, I don't know how many 160 ins I saw. 30?
Really?
30. Oh, yeah, my God. It's just, it was really high-quality darts and some great matches. So we'll get to that. And then, the Bears managed to win a game. I was, totally in shock.
See, I wasn't. I knew they were going to win.
Yeah. Whenever I think that
That's
I know
the way.
is
That's
that
the way the
they
city of
fail.
Chicago thinks. They think they're going to win, they lose. They think they're going to get killed, they win.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
wishy-washy. That's the way they are. They've been like that for about 6 years now.
I do not have a good handle on
No.
this. And it's the same with the baseball. I mean, for some reason, like the teams that you expect to win just aren't getting it done this year.
Yeah, well,
And Dallas beating, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're sports yackers, but how many people like rip on the quarterback, and all of a sudden, wow, Dallas has this great offensive line, and that's what really makes a winning team. It's
Sure
like,
it
really?
does.
Because you're ripping on Cutler. He's been running for his life for 3 years. You finally get some blockers, and all of a sudden he's the best thing since butter on bread.
yeah, and
or
then, well,
whatever.
then it all comes down to turnovers. If you don't
please.
turn the ball over, then you win. But,
Well,
you know, they have a good team. They're defensively, they're a little suspect.
hey, they
The
brought
Bears,
in
but-
brought in 75 guys to try to get a safety.
Yeah.
And they got a guy playing with two
Well,
broken shoulders.
They,
I mean,
they also brought in like three rookies to play linebacker, and they all played well.
yeah, because the defensive line wouldn't let
Yeah.
you know, and you know, if you've got Gabe Karimi starting for you, your offensive line's in trouble. I don't care what anyone says. So it was good. I don't know. The darts were good. So
But,
okay,
you didn't play darts this weekend, though, did you? You didn't go to the Cup?
you know, it was funny. I did not go for the first time since I started playing. I mean, every year it's like less and less, and you know, I'm not going to tournaments anymore where the amateurs are playing for more money than the pros. I'm just like, you know what? I've decided that, you know, I'll just, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'll tell people why. And they obviously they won't make the same sacrifice I make. But to my mind, part of the problem with being like a top level player is you're overexposed, and that's part of the reason you can't sell darts.
Okay.
Right? Like, what's the big thing? What's the big deal about seeing Darren Young play when you could see him play at any tournament, or you could see him play locally or something? See, you can't see me play anymore, right? If you want to see me play, unless you happen to come hang out with me, you know, when I go out to practice, you don't see me at local blind draws. You can
Right.
see me in league now, but I don't know how long that's going to last, you know, but I don't think if you're going to put the time and effort into polishing your game and becoming a great player, I don't know why everyone should just get a free crack at you and everyone should just get to see you play and all this other stuff.
For those out there that don't know, the Cup we're talking about is the Windy City Cup in Chicago this weekend,
Right.
right in our own backyard.
Yes.
And speaking of which, are we in?
Shout
are we
out.
on Ashland here?
Well-
or are we in Ireland?
Well, see,
we,
now
we
this
can't
is the
figure
thing.
that out.
So the Temple Bar
Yeah.
was is like a landmark in Dublin, and then you're telling me is that the one that's
I thought that
across
was the
from
bar
the
on
Jewel on
Ashland.
Ashland?
Yeah.
Apparently, somebody in Chicago put a bar up
That looks exactly
that
the
looks
same.
exactly like the Temple Bar. So which one is this? Is this the one on Ashland or the one in
We don't-
Dublin? I hope it's the one in Dublin because it's supposed to be, because that's where they had the Grand Prix.
Right.
Is in Dublin. Two perfect games.
Really?
In the early rounds,
Okay.
right? So, and also I should shout out. Illinois has a new amateur
Yes.
501 champion. Rob Etherington won it.
Good for
So,
him.
Congrats for him. I was going to nickname him the Project because he's a new player. Like, he's never played league before, so he's playing league for the first time, and he really gets into it. And he's like, "Hey, Steve, I want to play some 501. Let's play some 501. Let's play. Play some legs, play some sets with the guy. Sure, talented, tall.
Yeah.
It's like 6'5".
Yeah.
Really long arms. And I told him like 3 weeks ago, I'm like, hey, if anybody tells you how to throw a dart, how to deliver a dart, don't listen. Just do what you're doing. You're doing fine. It's natural ability, natural good fundamentals. So I was happy he won.
Yeah.
I wish I could have
Good
been
for
there
him.
to see it.
Yeah, I
No,
didn't go
but
either, but
My
I
attitude,
didn't plan on it.
Yeah, my attitude now is like, you know, the top players are overexposed. I mean, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not saying the guys that are going to play in Japan or, you know, England or, you know, wherever. I'm just saying, like, you know, locally, part of the reason that pro darters don't get respect is because they're too easy to see. Like, I was going to go play in Columbus at the Buckeye, which I pretty much go every year. And I'm kind of like thinking, yeah, everybody gets, you know, there's no admission. You can just wander in there and watch all these guys play for free. Why would anybody pay? That's part of the problem. with like growing the sport, from the professional side. And I'm not.
Well, how are you going to get people to pay?
Well, it's if that's the only way you're going to see them, people will pay, right? I mean, I'm sure if we charged a nickel, some people might, pay a nickel to watch our show. Maybe 6 cents. It depends. I mean, the stock market took a dump today, so maybe some people won't have a nickel to spare. But we talked about it. We talked about like putting like a 10-cent fee on the podcast and stuff. And I remember you saying there was somebody you used to listen to, some podcast you liked, and when they started charging money, you were like, I'm done.
Right.
So, that's fine. I mean, it's not like we're all that professional about the show anyway.
Yeah, but
I think it's worth a nickel.
But the thing is, like that podcast I was listening to, and it was very entertaining, and it's like he probably, if he got 50% of the people that were listening to it to pay for it and 50% not, he's making a good coin.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but he, and he went through. I mean, it was like 3 years of a process of him to do this to where it got popular, where they finally decided we're going to start charging.
Well, and that's great. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they're the CDC and Championship Dart Circuit or whatever. It's like if the only way to see the pros play was to pay, some people would pay.
Yeah, I agree. Some people would, sure.
I mean, if you could see everybody for free, then why would you pay a
and
dime?
Then eventually, after a couple years, more and more people are going to, if word gets around, more and more people will then pay.
Yeah, well, if that's the only game and if that's the only way to see them, then yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't see, and look at pay-per-view. Look how pay-per-view works, right? You want to see Mayweather fight Pacquiao, unless you want to see it a month later.
When you already know what happens?
When you already know what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you shell out. I remember, what was it? Spinks and Mike Tyson.
Oh, God. Back in what, like 89?
It was a long time ago. I was living in L.A., and I remember we all chipped in like $6.25. Like a bunch of people to pay. I think it was like $39.95.
Back then it was like $30-$40. Now it's like $60-$70.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe anybody's paying this money. And so we chipped in the money, and literally the fight was 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Spinks was like petrified. Apparently, Tyson was in the locker room screaming and yelling and beating on the lockers, and by the time Spinks didn't want anything to do with him by the time he came out to the ring.
Right.
I mean, it was just like Tyson was like nuts back then. Which reminds me of
but that was the start of a little bit of downfall of pay-per-view, because everybody was like, well, why am I shelling out this money for, you don't get anything after 90 seconds.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's...
So they started adding undercards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've always had undercards, like when they did boxing, like at Madison Square Garden or club fights or whatever. I mean, there's always been more than one fight, but you don't even know who these guys are unless you're like a aficionado or something like that. So,
but there are people out there that are going to pay to see it. It will get popular.
Look at how we follow the PDC in America. I mean, the best players in the world were in Dublin last weekend. No offense to anybody playing in Hull at the Winmau qualifiers, but the best players in the world were in Dublin playing double in, double out 501, and the only way to see them was to pay the PDC your monthly or yearly subscription and watch it streamed on the internet. Otherwise, it's on cable.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so whatever it is. I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
Right.
I don't see why.
I don't either.
Got a little alert there. There's a baseball game going on.
What's the alert?
Colton Wong hit a homer.
Oh, good for him. How many people were on?
You're saying, rookies.
Well, hold on. How many people were on base?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you just
We're
can't
in the middle of the show. I mean,
can't give me that information and then...
I don't know.
All right.
They're having a 2-run third inning. Anyway, okay. I don't know. The Cardinals and the Giants, I mean, they should not even play. The Royals are going to win. So, I mean, just give it to them now and tell everyone to take the rest of the year off. But there's a rookie.
You heard it here first.
There's a rookie hitting a homer.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of like part of my thinking is it's like it's a tournament where, the league is devoted to amateurs. They don't really care about the top players. They never have. So, okay, fine. If you're a top player, then, what are you doing in the league? It's like I'm not gonna like complain about it. It's just gonna be like I'm not gonna go.
Yeah.
You're gonna have something for me, then I'll go. Most tournaments,
plus, like you're talking about, is that the amateurs are getting paid more, so the nickel 501 is getting paid more than.
Yeah. Well, okay. Obviously, however they're running the tournament, they don't look at darts the way I look at it, so why should I go?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I'm not going to say it's a Bush League tournament. I'm just saying,
Who won the men's 501? Do you know?
No idea.
No.
They posted pictures of, again, I'm not going to start, ripping on our local league. Let's just say it's, let's just call it amateur hour. Leave it at that.
Okay.
No, but the 501, double in, double out 501, the Grand Prix is one of my favorite tournaments.
See, I would like that because I don't like 301, double in, double out.
The problem with top
just such
level
a crapshoot.
Well, with top level players, the games are over so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you get in on something big and you throw a ton 40 and you're on a finish. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when you go on the road, and there's a few tournaments that have like a 301 singles on Friday. Like I know Huntsville has one, Cleveland had one, and it used to be in America 301. That was what everyone played. I guess, I don't know why, probably because they had so many people. The North American Open was 301, right? Okay, well, takes skill to hit a double, right?
Yeah.
But, I've played in these and I've won these things where I'm literally throwing 9 darters left and right, left and right, left and right, and I'm still under pressure. They had one in Kentucky.
Right.
I was trading 9 darters with James Cotton. Won the diddle in the last leg, thank goodness, right? So the 501 double in, double out, they're still throwing 15 darters, 11 darters, 12 darters, right? Yeah. I mean, these guys were ripping it up, and it was fun to see. Phil Taylor lost to James Wade. And it was fascinating. If you get a chance, go on YouTube and listen to James Wade talk after that match. I mean, he was really honest. And he's like, look, Phil's beaten me on TV like 21 straight times, and he has done stuff against me that he has never done against anyone but me. And it's like, you could just tell that it's like the pressure was totally lifted off of him.
Yeah, he was right. He had to be excited.
Well, he played well, and Phil just missed this double, missed that double, missed this double, missed that double. He's under pressure, because Wade's sitting on and out. But you get 3 clear to double, you're supposed to hit it. Mm-hmm. Especially, these guys. So, yeah, okay, bad day, you lose. Okay, fair enough. Him talking retirement? No. Okay, get over it, dude. It's not the first time you ever lost a tournament.
We shouldn't retire, but we should take a break.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more Grand Prix, and we'll also talk about the Winmau Masters. You're listening to Dart Talk, Mystery Mark, Sleeping on 7. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts, the whole gang. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Don't forget you can download the podcast on iTunes, listen to it on Stitcher.com, on TuneIn.com. Check our website, darttalk.us. I'll probably have the archive fixed this week.
Nice.
Get in here this weekend. I think I'll have some time. So that'll be good. Fix that. Might redesign it. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll be at the Nebraska Northwestern game this weekend.
Oh, Ryan Field? Mm-hmm. Rooting for Nebraska?
You betcha.
Wearing your red and white and red?
One of the two.
College football. I don't know. It's just turned into like politics and business.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, I mean, It's like whatever happened to just watching a game and just rooting for a team. I mean, I'm so sick of politics. I'm sick of dart politics, especially. I'm just sick of it all. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever, BDO, 80, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just, I'm a player. I want to play, and we're going to get to the Darters' Bill of Rights. I posted something a couple of weeks ago. We didn't get a chance to do it. I made some notes. We'll talk about that later in the show. The Grand Prix was interesting. Van Gerwen won.
Okay.
I don't know. I may not have put the results in the crawl, but Van Gerwen won. He beat Stephen Bunting in the final.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. What am I saying? He beat James Wade in the final.
Oh, okay.
He beat Stephen Bunting in the semi,
semis.
And then the other semi was James Wade and Gary Anderson. And I cannot believe Gary Anderson's really improved. Gary Anderson had 2 ton-plus checkouts to win the first set, and Wade just had this look on his face like, hey, who's wearing the Gary Anderson mask? I beat Phil Taylor. He put on a Gary Anderson mask. He's coming out here checking out 138s and stuff. And, to Wade's credit, Wade just kind of hung in there. And, kind of weathered the storm. And then, he raised his game a little bit. And then, Anderson's came down. He hit a couple of big shots, took his first set, climbed back into it. It went down to the very last leg. And it was like watching a League 301 game, right? Wade gets in on something lousy, like a 40 or something, right? Anderson, whiff, right? Wade goes up there, throws a 60. Mm-hmm. Anderson goes up, whiff.
Oh.
And then, Wade goes up there, throws a 60. And I'm like, man, get your 160 in. You're back in it.
Yeah.
Anderson's up there, whiff. And I'm like...
9 straight?
Oh, I think it was 12.
Oh.
Oh, he was... Wade was on a finish before I think Anderson got in. I mean, the last leg was kind of anticlimactic. But I was happy for Wade. I mean, Wade strikes me as kind of getting it together. The problem... was, the way Van Gerwen played. I watched very closely. I watched Stephen Bunting play Van Gerwen in the semifinal, and he was beaten after 12 darts.
Bunting was?
Bunting was.
Yeah.
And he had thrown a ton 80 in there, but just the look on his face was, he'd throw a ton 80 and then he'd follow it with like a 45. Mm-hmm. I mean, and Bunting still, he's a great player, but he doesn't strike me as having the same kind of precision that like Van Gerwen has, and he had more twice as many
been
ton 80s.
On tour for what, 2 years, a year and a half?
Who, Bunting?
Yeah.
He joined the PDC this year.
Right.
Yeah, he's already top 32.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's done fabulous. But he strikes me as a thrower. He strikes me as a guy that's like really comfortable throwing triples, and then we'll see what kind of happens. But he doesn't seem to be able to adjust off a miss. Like if he misses his first one, the other two don't go anywhere close.
Right.
Whereas, Van Gerwen, if he misses the first one, he'll throw a ton 80 or ton 40. Mm-hmm. Much more often than Bunting did. I mean, Bunting had twice as many ton 80s as anyone else in the tournament, and I think threw more than Van Gerwen did. But Van Gerwen just pounded him with ton 40s and with finishing and stuff like that. And it just... just watching Bunting play, it was like his confidence was crippled in the first leg. It's like, dude, you guys got to win 4 sets. And that's where Wade impressed me because, Wade hung in there with Anderson when it really looked dire. Mm-hmm. Anderson was playing best I've ever seen him play. He was playing so good, and it wasn't just scoring. I mean, he was scoring at will, but he was finishing everything, and Wade was not playing bad.
Right.
Well, he's averaging like 100 on a double-in 501 game is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Wade's getting blown out. He's averaging 95, and he must be like, no.
What's going on?
No. Why does this always happen to me?
I have a hard time averaging 95 without the double-in part.
Well, when we get to the Winmau Masters, Anastasia Dombrova averaged over 95 in one of the women's matches that she won.
Nice.
Which I thought was like pretty impressive. She had like 6 1080s and 4 legs. I'm like, wow. I'll take that any day.
Absolutely.
Right? So, so it's kind of my favorite tournament. Taylor's not going to retire. Bunting, I don't know what to make of that guy. Do you know what I mean when I say he's more of a thrower than I want to say like a pitcher and a thrower kind of analogy.
Okay.
He's more of a thrower instead of a pitcher, where Taylor's a Greg Maddux, right? Can hit every corner, whatever, master the board. Van Gerwen's getting there.
Right.
I think Van Gerwen just has so much confidence, and that translates into good play. And Bunting doesn't seem to be confident playing Van Gerwen. He seems totally confident playing like, somebody else. Right? So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a learning thing. Maybe he needs to bag him once, and then he'll be fine. I mean, I don't know. The guy's won stuff.
But I mean,
he really played horrible in that final. Was it against Taylor a couple of months ago where he missed all these doubles? I mean, I don't know.
It's got to be. I'm sure it's a confidence thing, I would think, and plus, the pressure and his first year on tour with his card. All of a sudden, you're playing the big boys.
Well, I mean, he won Lakeside. He's won the Winmau Masters. He's won everything on the BDO side you could win. He came on the PDC thing and started winning right away.
You get to the next level basically where you're really trying to make a name for yourself. In order to do that, you have to consistently beat the Van Gerwens and the Taylors, and it's still a lot of pressure, regardless of whether you can do it or not. You have to, mentally get yourself into that mode where you can win. You just have to do it. And it's got to be difficult when all of a sudden you're, facing Van Gerwen and Taylor all the time.
Yeah.
Mentally,
I mean, it's a mental game.
Mentally, it's just got to be really difficult.
I don't know. I was just sort of surprised. I expected better from him.
Look at how, Van Gerwen's really young, but look at how, it took him a couple years, even though he was young, but to get over the hump of beating...
He's still young.
Right. 24? But even, but it took him a couple years to get over the hump of beating Phil Taylor. And now he can do it, 50% of the time?
Yeah, he never struck me as lacking confidence. But, it was funny. Wade said something very strange. He said something about the only guy that could play well enough to do something was Adrian Lewis. So he totally dissed like Van Gerwen and Phil Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was sort of like... Okay, Adrian Lewis was out in the first round. I mean, Adrian Lewis, since he won the World Championship, basically did nothing until the next World Championship when he won that, and he should have won 3 in a row. I mean, he had Van Gerwen, and then kind of blew it, but I don't know. Kind of darted a double to win. So did Anderson against Wade. Anderson, and it was weird, too, because he was up. He was up a couple of sets, and he had game darts. He blew the double, and the look on his face was just like, oh, my God, I may not get another whack at it. And I'm like, you're playing great. Just go win the next leg. It's the same kind of deal where, and the Americans that are going to play in this, championship dart circuit, when you start playing long format 01, you have to try to avoid thinking ahead. Like, oh, my God, I'm down a break. I need to break him. Right. Just one leg at a time.
Yeah.
If you can manage to do that, no matter who you're playing, I think you're going to get much better results than if you're, oh, my God, I got to break him here. Ooh, he threw a 60. Sure. I got to punish this. I mean, that kind of chatter going on in your head, I think, is counterproductive.
Oh, I would totally agree with
right.
that.
And I'm not going to say that that's what these guys were thinking, but they have a camera on them, and you look at their expressions.
But that's
sometimes
just
it's
that's
it's
like
pretty
any
obvious.
other sport. I mean, think about it. You know, you're down 17 points in football. You can't sit there and think, well, we got to score 3 touchdowns. You got to get one first. You're down 5 runs in baseball. You got.
Well, no one thinks that. I mean, you
there's
do
enough,
the play. If you're on the sideline, you might be thinking
there's enough pressure on you. Sure, you do. You know,
well, maybe the coaches do. I don't think the play. I don't think if you're a defensive end, you're trying to score 17 points. You're trying to.
But in baseball, I think if you're 9 guys on an offense and you're down 5 runs, if you sit there and think, you sit there and go, I need the 3-run homer to get us back in the game, you're going to fail. But if you go one hit at a time,
wait for a good pitch and try to hit it hard.
One run at a time, and it's the same concept. If you sit there and if you start thinking, well, I need to break them because I need to win a whole set, as opposed to take the leg at a time, and next thing you know, you find yourself up, a couple legs and finish it off, and then now you're even.
Yeah.
But that's the mental part we were just talking about. I mean, that's it's much more. It's easier to talk about than it is to do. You know what I mean? How do you look at a board and go, I'm down a set, and get your mind to think I'm not down, to not think I'm down a set? It's hard to do. You have to get yourself out of that thought process.
You need to have such a short memory. When you're playing.
Absolutely.
I guess that's kind of what I'm getting to.
Mm-hmm.
They had qualifiers for the Winmau Masters. Now we covered last week. We covered the Lakeside qualifiers.
Yes.
Right. Nobody got through on the American side. Jeff Smith and Maria Mason got through. In the crawl, you'll notice that they did the draw for Lakeside, and I put it down there. It's kind of funny. Jimmy Widmer already had qualified, and he's playing whoever it says down there. But if he wins his first round match, he gets a rematch with the guy that knocked him out. Was it 2 years ago? Rick Hofstra beat him in like 2 events, the exact same. The Winmau qualifier and the Lakeside qualifier. So Jimmy gets a chance to hopefully avenge that. There were some good results. Jimmy did the best, I think, in the Winmau Masters qualifier. He didn't get through. I think he was a match short. But Robbie Phillips did good. Somewhere in the crawl there, you'll see the results. I mean, most of them are pretty dismal. Mm-hmm. I'm typing top 128, top 256. I'm like, oh my God, should I just leave it out? I mean, but it was funny. You follow golf. Did you see what they did with the Ryder Cup recently?
In what aspect?
Well, we've been losing.
Well, yeah.
Right. So the PGA of America put together a board of...
After this last Ryder Cup?
Yeah. They announced it this week.
I have not seen it, no.
The secretary of the PGA... and then some other PGA Tour official, and then 3 past captains and 5 players, including Ricky Fowler, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, a couple of other guys, maybe Furyk, I don't know. Paul Azinger is not part of the committee. He says he's going to meet with the PGA Tour next month by himself. But I think what they're basically saying is we're going to put all our little heads together and figure out what's the best way to go forward, because we're tired of losing. I wish we could do that with the guys that kind of go en masse to these tournaments. I wish there was some way that we could get these guys better prepared to get better results, because even though, people post on Facebook, oh, I'm representing the U.S. and stuff like that, it's not really a U.S. team that's going over there. Everyone's going over there as individuals. Mm. And I'm just sick of, like, 1 and done, 2 and done. I mean, Cheney had a good day. Jimmy Widmer had a good day. Robbie Phillips, I think, had a good day the second day. The BDO was so poor in posting the results for the Winmau Masters qualifiers. I had a hard time finding them, and it looks to me like Larry Butler forfeited or didn't show up because there's no result, and then the other guy's moving forward. So I don't know what happened with that.
Right.
And I didn't see Dave Cameron. And I looked 3 times. I didn't see his name, so I don't know if he didn't play in the Winmau Masters qualifier or what. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to.
But there's no info about it.
Yeah, I got nothing
on
that. So it was kind of weird. I mean, to be having an event like that and not be able to post results means that you're either it's being run by DOFs or people just aren't prepared to, communicate this stuff, which I don't, in this day and age, I don't understand why it's hard.
It shouldn't be.
I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, if you're prepared to do this, you should be able to do it like immediately. I mean, it's like, and they were doing okay when they were doing the lakeside events. When they were doing the lakeside qualifiers, they got a little behind, but they were updating it and stuff. And then all of a sudden they just stopped. So it's like, well, okay, what happened to Sandy
somebody
Hudson?
had to leave.
I mean,
yeah.
I just don't understand, if you're supposedly like a great organization, how you can't do something simple like that. And maybe they don't care. Right. I mean, maybe they don't care. I mean,
that's very possible.
Somebody said to me, well, how come, like, this tournament they just had in Chicago, why isn't the flyer like on their Facebook page and stuff like that? I'm like, hey, don't ask me. It's like, it's 2014. Okay? I mean, when were you on AOL? I was on AOL in 1994. I think I paid extra for a 28K modem.
Okay.
Right? So 1994, 04, that's 20, the internet's been around for 20 years, and you haven't figured out how to update something, then you're not trying hard enough.
Right. Or you just don't care.
Yeah. In which case, I don't know what to say about that.
I would care to take a break, though.
All right, we'll take a break. I want to talk about this Bill of Rights, and then we had an interesting question from one of our listeners in Brazil, maybe our only listener in Brazil.
Yeah,
so remind me to bring that up. You listen to Dart Talk Mystery Mark, Steve Panazzo, and we'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks everybody for listening. Where'd we leave off?
Bill of Rights.
Yeah, Bill of Rights. Before, well, we got an interesting message from a guy in Brazil. It was kind of
you want to do that
interesting.
first?
Well, it was kind of an interesting question.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, I'm not going to read it word for word because I don't have it in front of me, but he's basically, the question he's asking is, how can you buy darts that you've never thrown? Like, how do you shop for darts?
He's having a hard time getting product.
Well, and it's expensive in Brazil and stuff like that. And he's talking about he splurged, I guess, and got some Raymond Van Barneveld signature darts and Paul Nicholson signature darts. And the Nicholsons are kind of going in tail down, which sounds to me like he needs to change his shaft in his flight and make them lighter. Either try shorter shafts or lighter shafts or something.
You have to start with something, right? And you're thinking you want to improve it, right? So you have to at least, I mean, if you're a beginner
and you've never thrown before, all you need are some straight barrel darts with like just a medium kind of knurl. just that you can hold on to, and then take it from there. And then you can adjust your flights and shafts based on how the darts are flying in the air.
Right, sure.
And to be honest, beginners, steel tip, 23 grams ought to be fine. If you're playing soft tip, then, you need to make them lighter. I don't know that lighter darts are easier to throw for a beginner or not. I would suspect that they're not. I think the heavier darts tend to straighten themselves out a little bit more. There's a little more inertia when you throw. So if you're a beginner out there or you want to introduce somebody to darts and you want to go online and get a cheap set of darts, just get like some straight barrels, something simple, and take it from there. The front-loaded darts.
Yeah, but if you've got
not a big fan,
okay, but this guy in Brazil. So if you're a little more than a beginner, you're using the same darts you've used for 5 years. You got the 23 grams with the straight barrel, but you think you need to improve your darts. How do you do that? And that's what he's asking. How do you do that without, buying? Because he can't go out and try them out.
Well, right.
So how do you go out and do it without buying a bunch of different sets?
I mean, why are you changing in the first place? I mean, his problem, I think, was he was getting cheap darts that they don't make anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, okay. I mean, I think you should get redwood darts, but I think they're the easiest ones to throw. Just shameless plug.
Just saying.
And if you want redwood darts, just email the show, darttalk@gmail.com. You can email us with pretty much anything except complaints. If you have complaints, you email those to Sam the intern at internsareus.us, and Sam will get to you. Hopefully his queue's not that big. No, but, darts with scallops, front-loaded darts, those kind of torpedo darts and stuff, I don't think they're easier to throw. I thought, like the Paul Lim darts, I didn't think that those were good for beginners. I think a straight barrel, where you learn how to grip it and just hold it behind the center of gravity. Do we know whether this guy from
Brazil's a beginner or not? Or
no, but he was saying, his question was, how does a beginner go and buy darts online without having thrown them? And it's actually a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, you could kind of go sort of on and on. I mean, if you're the kind of guy who gets sweaty fingers, buy some chalk, right?
Yeah, well, it also depends,
or get something with a little bit more grip. I mean,
it's more important to figure out your flights, isn't it? Because, some people throw harder speed flights.
Beginners should be throwing full-size flights. Mm-hmm. Under no circumstances should a beginner go anywhere near speed flights. A beginner should have medium-length shafts, full-size flights, and then learn to throw the dart where it goes straight in the air. Right? That's and then, you can kind of monkey around with it once you get a little bit of expertise.
Okay. All right.
It's like training wheels on a bike, right? If you never rode a bike before, you don't buy a ZX11
right,
or a VMAX or whatever, right? You start with like a simple street bike and kind of learn, right?
Yeah. Take a class.
Yeah, well, yeah. So for a beginner, you want the simplest setup that you can find, right? And then go from there. And then at some point, you may find that changing the weight of your darts or changing the shape of your flight or the length of your shaft may give you an advantage, right? Your darts may fly stronger or they may fly straighter or, whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? So that's what I would recommend. And if I had my own like website selling darts, I would like literally say, for beginners, here's what you use. Mm-hmm. Make them inexpensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, get like a $30 set of some simple kind of straight barrel. This is for beginners, and tell everybody this is for beginners, right? I mean, how did you pick out a baseball bat when you played Little League? I mean, our team had a bag of bats, and I took the lightest one because I was the smallest kid on the team. And when I picked up the heavy one, I was like, well, geez, this is too heavy, and even the light one was like too heavy. I mean, till I got to be like 10, so like anything else. I mean, if you're rollerblading, I went to buy rollerblades. The guy's like, you ever rollerbladed before? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, well then you don't need those. Here, just get these. And,
and get used to it.
And he explained, he's like, well, if you get good and you want to do stunts and stuff, then you get these other wheels and you do this and that. But this is fine if you're just going to like tool around and, you'll wear them out in a year.
You're going to roll around Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Venice Beach and, just for fun.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how it is with anything else.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, for darts, you should have a beginner set of darts that you feature. This is for beginners.
Right.
Especially for youths. Right?
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful to our listener in Brazil. That we answered his question. So now, okay, where are we on time?
Hold on.
Is he in the chat room?
No, the guy. Here's the advice to the guy from Brazil. Make a road trip to Detroit and stop by the dartzone.com. There's lots of barrels to try.
Well, there are, and the dartzone.com has very many.
I think that's great advice. It might be a little expensive to make a trip from Brazil to Detroit, but.
There's an alternative to that, but I wouldn't mind making a trip to Detroit.
Right.
I should do that. I should call Jimmy Widmayer and say, if you want to meet me somewhere for 2 days,
I wonder does Bill have a return policy though? Hey, can you ship these to me? I'll ship them back if I could just try them out.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I can't imagine anybody doing that. I mean, I want to buy a set of darts, and then you know what? I didn't like them. Because they're not. I'm not throwing enough 1080s with them. I want my money back. I don't think it's supposed to work that way. Like you buy a bat for softball and you don't hit any home runs and you take it back. And
there's plenty of companies out there that take things back that you would never think. And people try and return things all the time. I'm just saying that there could be a marketing thing there where try these darts out if you don't like them. But like you almost to the point where you still have to purchase something. If you don't like these, you can return them for another product. You know what I'm saying? And that would help the guy. That would help the beginner out in Brazil. Well, I don't like these. I'm going to try something else. But it's still X amount of dollars.
Yeah, it's still shipping to and from Brazil.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he's looking for a
that's
more
cheaper
certain
than buying a $40 set and then another $40 set and another $40 set until you find something you like. Plus shipping and handling every time as well.
I don't know. The first set I ever got, I bought used from some guy who hung out at I don't even know what. I borrowed some darts. The first time I ever played, I just borrowed some darts. Guys like, here, use these. I'm like, okay. And then some guy's like, do you want to set your own darts? I'm like, yeah, I guess I should. He's like, well, you want to buy these? And I threw 3. I'm like, yeah, these are all right. How much you want? He's like, $20. I'm like, here you go. Eric Bristow's.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I somehow started. I went to a dart store and bought some different darts, and then I sold these to another guy who was like just starting out. And I'm like, well, this guy sold them to me, but I want you to sell them back to me if you quit. He's like, okay. A month later, I'm like, you're going to sell them back to me? He's like, no, I'm still playing. I never saw him play, and then he disappeared. So I was kind of bummed because I wanted those back. But
my darts consist of $30 barrels that I bought at the Cup, and then just put shafts and
from Jeff Pickup.
Yeah.
See, he's not with us anymore.
Right.
But yeah, I got a set of his darts. His darts are great. Did he make me 2 sets or 1? He made me 2 sets. Well, no, he made me 1 set, and then I bought a set of his that he had kind of some barrels on. So he did good work. Miss him. Okay, so where are we on time? Can we start this?
We can, but we probably in a minute or two we need a break. So you want to just do it now? Yeah.
God, we just go on and on and on, babbling and babbling.
Blah blah blah
blah blah blah blah blah blah blah. So anyway, okay. So and by the way, if anybody wants to go play this weekend, I recommend going to Boston for the Witch City. I wanted to go to that
this weekend.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that tournament so bad.
You talk about that all the time.
It's the one tournament I really wanted to make this year. There's a couple of tournaments I really want to go to that I've never been to, and this is one of them. They just started coming back a couple of years ago. I want to go to Portland. I want to go play the Portland Open one of these days.
All right.
And Biloxi? Biloxi is always the same weekend as something else. I kind of want to play. I've never been to Mississippi. Looks like a good year to go. Everybody will be in a good mood. Right, okay. Mississippi State's the number 1 team. Who'd have thunk that one?
Right.
Okay, so I posted something because everybody's complaining about all sorts of stuff. Like if you go in these Facebook discussion groups, I mean, there's a lot of unhappy
Did you want to take
people.
a break first, or you want to talk about?
Are
this
we?
real quick?
Is it time to take a break?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. All right, we'll be right back. This will be a quick one. Listen to Dart Talk, Mystery Mark, Steve Poncelman. We'll be right back.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter at Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and has been our sponsor forever, and we appreciate it. Okay, so Darter Bill of Rights. Everybody complaining about this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it just gets sickening. You just get sick of hearing about it. You know, you don't like it, don't play.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me to thinking because, you know, we don't have like a players union. There's no standards.
No, we do not.
Right? There's no real governance. I mean, it's all a bunch of just a collection of independent tournaments, like the Diddle Tour. Soft tip, you know, the soft tip leagues have their league tournaments, right? There's one coming up in a couple of weeks with the triple elimination blind draw.
Oh, is that coming up?
Yeah, it's coming up in a couple
I
of
thought
weeks.
that already happened.
No, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. The same weekend as Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, right.
And the Colorado Open and the Darts Live in Vegas.
Are all the same week.
Are all the same weekend. So
Nice.
good luck picking and choosing on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's weird. I mean, it's like really the professional players should be in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Except that people that want to chase BDO points for Lakeside next year have to go to Colorado. Right? And if you've already played in a soft tip league, then you got to do this triple elimination league thing. Right? And then if you live anywhere on the East Coast and you're not a pro, you should be in Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's kind of weird. We'll see how many people play all together that weekend. They'll have 256 easy, I think, in at the Darts Live in Vegas.
Okay, yeah, probably.
So it's literally going to be like, I would think, close to 1,000 people playing tournaments that one weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be
interesting. Anyway, you know, because we don't have a union, and it's, you know, I'm not a rabble rouser. You know, I've been in unions. Believe me, unions are not the be-all and end-all of everything. However, when it comes to some of the issues that people complain about, like you talked about, like the bull shooter where Dave Cameron won as an amateur when he was the number one player in Canada, and I'm immediately like, hey, everybody who played in that event should get a refund. Mm-hmm. Nobody asked for one. It's like, okay, at some point, dart players have to realize that they are consumers. You're talking about a return policy on darts. Right. What about a return policy on a tournament that doesn't deliver? Mm-hmm. You go to these tournaments and they run 5 hours behind. Well, okay. I mean, what other business gets away with, okay, yeah, we're 5 hours behind, but
all
don't
these
worry
people
about
that
it.
have to ditch on the final.
If you went to a movie, if
they
you
have
went
to
to a
ditch on the
movie,
finals because they got a plane to catch.
well,
because
I mean, part of that is unavoidable, but part of it isn't. I mean, there are people playing at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
What is that? I mean, that's not a dart tournament. That's some other thing. But if you went to a movie, right, and you paid your $7.50 or $9.50, whatever it is, I haven't been to a movie
I haven't
lately.
been to one in a while either.
If you went to a movie,
and it's just say
and
$10.
it was supposed to start at 2, and you're sitting there like this, and it's 5:30 and the movie hasn't started. I mean, at some point you get a refund. So, I mean, dart players are not really good consumers when it comes to stuff like this. So I was thinking...
No, because they're always in an area where there's something else to do. There's a bar to go to. There's people to hang out with. And
hey, believe me, people complain.
Well, sure.
It's like, well, who are you going to complain to?
But in effect, what they do is they just deal with it and just hang out and do something else.
Okay. And if nobody cares, then it's just the people in discussion groups complaining and venting. Yeah, it's fine.
But like you're saying, but they discuss and vent, but they don't do anything about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like... If all the soft tip players insisted on no more than 75 cents a game, and they said, if you charge us more than 75 cents, we're not going to play, and they didn't play, I mean, they'd get their 75 cents a game.
I would agree with that, yes.
Right? But they don't do that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, it's like you're sort of hosed when you go to tournaments anyway, because you're already there. What are you going to do? Well, I'm here. I'm not going to play. Kind of thing. So it got me to thinking, though, like, if you had a union, believe me, I'm not starting a players union, but if you had a union, what would the charter be? Right? What would the union like offer players? Like, because a union is supposed to be collective bargaining for all the players. So I started thinking about like a Bill of Rights, because I don't know, watching Fox News and they were talking about how, was it Newt Gingrich or something, came up with like, some sort of Bill of Rights for whatever. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Some political thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Do you know what the Bill of Rights is?
Yes.
It's the first, amendments to the Constitution. Do you know what they are?
No.
No. Really?
No, I do not.
I know high school was a long time ago.
Yes.
One of them is freedom of speech.
Yes.
One of them is I actually wrote them down here if you want to pretend.
Oh, really? Look at that. Okay.
There's some of them.
Yeah.
Right? You have freedom of speech. You have the right to keep and bear arms in a well-regulated militia and all that. Unreasonable searches and seizures. There's stuff in there about jury trials, speedy trial, due process, trial by jury, and a codicil about states' rights. If something's not in the, if there's not a power expressly given to the federal government, then it goes to the states, something like that, kind of a universal kind of thing. I'm just paraphrasing these.
Yeah,
sure. Okay. These are important. Freedom of speech. Somebody was posting something about you can't wear a patch here and you can't wear a patch there. Okay. That isn't a violation of your free speech. That's a commercial deal, right? Banning players, on the other hand, a players union could get rid of that in a hurry.
Sure, absolutely.
Say, look, you ban one, you ban all. If the players spoke in one voice, they could go to these, whoever, and just say, look, if you do this, no one's coming to your tournament at all. You'd get your way. I mean, you'd get progress. Not that, okay. You can only charge 5 cents a game is not practical.
Right.
Right. But from a collective bargaining standpoint, I put some things down here that are kind of general. So let me just run these by. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 of them. And they're very general. But things that I feel like if you had a Darter's Bill of Rights, these should be in it. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff.
Well, sure.
So right away, the first thing I put was respect. I think players should be treated with respect and treat each other with respect. This is the biggest complaint I hear from female darters, is that they don't get the respect they deserve and stuff like that. Well, okay. I mean, you can't legislate good manners, really. But as a general principle, darters should be treated with respect. They shouldn't be yelled at.
Unfortunately, you would think everybody would adhere to that just as being a human being going to a competitive event.
Well, you're starting from scratch, though.
Right.
I mean, if this is going to be the Darter's Bill of Rights, I think as a darter, you have the right to be treated with respect, regardless of your race, creed, gender, whatever.
Right.
Right?
You should have that in life, let alone at a dart tournament.
Okay, so you think it's unnecessary to have it?
No, I think it should be in there, but I think I'm just saying I would hope people would just be that way to begin
you would
with.
hope, and yet
that's
people get shot in the street.
I know.
I know. Did you see the commercial with not Yannick Noah, Joachim Noah?
I did not.
The Noah Ark Foundation, stand up for Chicago and stop killing people.
I have not seen it, no.
Yeah, you shouldn't really have to say
I know,
that.
I know.
And
I
yet
know. But you
know,
have to.
you're identifying a problem, so
Right.
okay.
But no, I think it should be in there. I'm just saying, I wish that it would just be so obvious.
I've always
I've
always been treated with respect
I don't
on the
understand
road.
why, I mean, I understand why the women complain because I don't think they're respected and they should be. I just don't understand why, in general, there's just not an overall respect for people that play darts. It should just be, it's like, hey, we're all at this tournament. Let's have fun. I want to beat you. You want to beat me. And let's go have some fun.
As a standard, if you're, well, look, I mean, you can't rewrite, you can come up with like 100-page kind of a document. Mm-hmm. But I've always been treated great by tournament people on the road. I've never been yelled at. I've gotten nothing but respect from every tournament. I can never remember like being disrespected at a tournament ever.
Right.
And I've been to quite a few all over the country. So, I mean, I'm not saying that people aren't respected, but you hear things and you see things. And it's kind of like the players need to treat each other with respect too.
Right.
But it goes a long way. I mean, is it disrespectful to always be third called? Yeah, I kind of think it is.
I think so. I would think so.
I think
sure.
if you're not on time to your board, you're disrespecting everyone.
Absolutely.
You're holding up the entire event.
If you only care about yourself because you're going to go out and smoke and I'll get there when I get there, sure.
So as a general thing, I thought it should be listed.
No,
I
think it should be listed.
Okay.
I was just hoping, that common sense would take over and people wouldn't have to.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to say this. Yeah, I know. The second thing I have down is transparency. And this would go a long way towards solving some of the issues with like draws and hometown draws and, the kind of things people say. Like, oh, yeah, look, we're all in this bracket and la-di-da-di-da. And it also goes under uniformity, which comes later. But I think that tournaments should really make an effort. And, leagues, too, should make an effort to explain to people why they make the decisions they make. Because I think that goes a long way to getting the players to, go along with it. If all you do, like, I always felt that, board, like, the league board should say how people vote.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because then you could go to the people that didn't vote the way you want and say, hey, what'd you vote this way for? La-di-da-di-da. Here's why I don't think you should do that. If you're going to wall it off and be like, well, we as the board decided this and nobody knows how anybody voted.
And deal with it.
It's are you kidding me? In this day and age, that's what you're going to pull? Why would I support that?
Right.
I mean,
and yes, and please follow us is basically what they're saying.
Yeah. And send us money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some money for you
we
right
have
here.
your best interests in mind, but we're not going to tell you.
We're not going to tell you. Yeah, right. I mean, that's just absurd in this day and age to have that kind of an attitude. That's doddering old fool stuff, if you ask me. So anyway, transparency, I think, is especially important, when you're doing draws and stuff. I don't know why tournaments don't say, hey, we're about to, do the brackets for the singles coming up. If anybody wants to come and watch, we're going to start in 5 minutes.
Right.
That would eliminate most of the problems. Apparently, in Sacramento, that doesn't work because they kind of have it. They show it to you, and then people are still saying, well, he's rigging it. He's rigging it right in front of you. I heard these stories of Tom Fleetwood. Like, he'd do it in front of everybody, and he'd be obviously reading through the back of the slips and, like, kind of
really?
It for
not even a sleight of hand thing where they,
No, he was obvious about it. And you ask anybody who was around, oh, yeah, he's rigging it. Oh, yeah, he's rigging it. It's like, well, okay, you still got to win your match.
Yeah.
But, that kind of stuff, you talk about, like, you want to raise the level of the sport. I mean, I've literally been to tournaments where they announced signups are closed. And I'm warming up in like the doubles final. And everybody I'm playing with, my teammate and the two opponents are like, oh, we didn't sign up for the singles. I'm like, just run over there. I'm sure they'll put you in.
Right.
And they do. And what they did was they just stuck them in the brackets.
Somewhere.
They didn't even do a redraw. They just added them at the end. I'm like, well, you can't do it that way. I know you and it's just like, oh,
well,
please.
it's convenient. Yeah, I know.
It's not right.
No,
it's not transparent. Although it was pretty transparent to me what was going on. It's like, okay, whatever. What do I care? So, yeah, let's not do that anymore. And that also goes into fairness. I mean, and I put dress codes down as an example of fairness. I mean, I don't care what people wear. You know? I mean,
if you're trying to make it professional,
if the professionals have a dress code, then it needs to be enforced equally for everyone.
Right.
Which means Phil Taylor doesn't get to wear different shoes than everyone else. Right? Or like they had a tournament in Chicago. They sent 2 guys home because they didn't have the right color pants, but then somebody was playing with white and purple gym shoes. And I'm like, well, no, you can't do it that way. Yeah. You can't say these guys can't wear these pants and then, she's wearing these shoes. I mean, what is that? So, if you're going to have rules, you have to enforce them equally and you can't play favorites. That's the one thing I hated.
Correct.
Most of all is when people do stuff like that because it demeans the entire event and it just... Every little thing you do like this just turns it into amateur hour, and is part of the reason nobody takes a sport seriously.
Sure, and then it turns into a complaint from this guy and from this guy, and then an argument from everybody else. And it's
and you hear about all this stuff, like on blind draws, like, oh, well, they didn't let this guy in, but they let this guy in, and it just goes to like basic fairness.
Yeah,
and it's like you have to be fair when you do this stuff, or you have nothing.
What's your point? Yeah.
Yeah, especially you got all these volunteers doing stuff. I mean, my God. I mean, the players union could like literally say, here's the approved way to do a draw. You get rid of slips of paper and you say, here's our program. Just log in, type in the names, press enter, and there's your bracket.
Right.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple to do it that way. And, nowadays, all you need is like a Wi-Fi connection. You could do it on your phone. Right? Put in the nicknames. How many people you got? 48. Okay, here we go. Done. So, okay. Sportsmanship, not gamesmanship, kind of goes, that's a little bit more like respect, but there are rules.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people posted, when I put this on the discussion group was, people shouldn't be talking to you when you're throwing.
Right.
Ask Ryan Barnett about this. We were playing some goofy thing at some tournament, and I was it was soft tip, and I was borrowed some darts. I couldn't hit anything, and I was getting killed by everyone, although I was close to Ryan because he was using borrowed darts too, and he was having a hard time. And he was on some game-winning dart, and I just shout out, Noonan, right when he missed it by a mile, and he just looked at me like, I can't believe you did that. I know. I'm like, I know. Is that horrible?
It's awful.
But people do it.
Yeah.
I've had Wes Newton say stuff to me when I'm about to diddle. I could name 5 famous players. Well, John Part was one. Wes Newton was another. And I'm not going to name like the local people that that have said stuff like, watch, he's going to shank it. Just so I can hear you while I'm throwing. That's Bush League stuff.
$1,000 you missed that putt.
Yeah, that's Bush League.
$1,000 you hook.
There's no way on
gambling
earth.
At Bushwood, and I never slice.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's like this should be everybody's like total. Everybody should be calling everybody on this stuff. If you really want to take the game seriously and raise the game for everybody, so people don't think it's like, oh God, who's the guy? Some guy on fantasy football saying, "Oh, now you're just throwing darts if you're going to pick that guy." Like, I'd like to put you in front of a board and show you some accuracy, dude. Left pupil, right pupil. Sportsmanship, not gamesmanship. That's pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about there. Next is clarity with the rules and how you would appeal, stuff like that. I walked into the bullshooter the first time and literally asked 3 people, what's the rule if the dart doesn't register? And I got 3 different answers. It's not like they gave me a rule sheet that said, here are the rules. I mean, I literally walked in there like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then,
well, you go to even just the cup, you go there, and it's like, okay, what are the diddle rules? And nobody knows.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not posted anywhere. They make an announcement over the loudspeaker, but 50% of the people are outside smoking, and then they come to play their match, and it's like, okay, we flip the coin, but then who diddles the second match? And then you're sitting there, and you would play one match, and one person will say, okay, it's winner or loser diddles, and the other person will say, no, it's the loser of the diddle second. And it's like, and then you go to the Yeah, there is no clarity.
There's no clarity and there's no uniformity, and
Right.
uniformity's the last thing
Right.
there. But it'd be very simple for like the dart union to say, here's how you do it.
Right. This is the way it works.
PDC diddle alternate start, end of story. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
And you're done. But believe me, I mean, I've heard people at tournaments try to explain the diddle rule and get it wrong.
Yeah.
That's why you write the stuff down.
Right.
Be like, here you go. When you first sign up the first event, here are the diddle rules for the
Well,
weekend.
it's like through the grapevine. So
it's-
you think you know it, then one person tells you another, and then all of a sudden you change your mind on just a little aspect, and by the time you tell the next person, everything's different.
Yeah, and
It's,
especially you're playing a format like it's best of 5, but then it goes to best of 7, best of 9. You go to these tournaments, I'm like, what are we? It's 3-person. Are we playing 5-1, 6-1, or 7-1? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Or well, it's diddle every leg. No, it isn't. It's alternate start because. Oh, really? Because we diddled every leg last
Exactly,
match.
right,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, I don't think that's
But
the
that
rule.
was your fault.
I don't know how much time I've spent going to tournaments. What is the rule here? Go back. Okay, here's what we're doing. I mean, it's just sort of like, it shouldn't be that hard,
Yeah.
right? It's distracting. Deal with all that stuff. And it goes to show you that we're not really organized enough. Like, a baseball game, there's no discussion over, like, 3 outs an inning.
And I think a lot of that too is just not necessarily just not just organized enough. It's a lot of the players don't have the want to care enough that it's like, okay, now we get to the board. Okay, what are we doing? What's the diddle? It's the onus is on them as well to know what the rules are.
How are you supposed to know, though? I mean, it and then they'll change it from the way they did it the day before because it's a different event. People get confused. I mean,
still, I know
write
you can,
the stuff down.
Well, sure,
post
that would
it
help.
somewhere.
Right.
Put a sign up by Tournament Central that people can read. Use like really large print and
Yes.
a black, one of those big thick.
permanent markers.
Yeah, not the Sharpies. You know the ones, the really thick black markers
Yeah.
you used in school with the rings around them and stuff. I forget what brand that was, but just write it out.
All right.
It's not that hard.
Speed it up here, pal.
Speed it up. Open fair market policies. This is like a commercial deal, but as a dart player, we should have the right to go play an open event, regardless of who our sponsors are or who we're affiliated with and stuff like that. And I think if the players got together, they could get this done. They could get this done and be like, no, you're not banning anybody.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know any players that are for that. You know what I mean? I don't know
banning?
Yeah.
Oh, I
for
can't
banning
imagine.
this guy, banning that guy.
I can't imagine any player looking for that.
To be honest with you, I have no problem with somebody saying you can't wear that patch. Mm-hmm. That is a little bit different because, if this guy's putting out the money to sponsor a
You're gonna
tournament,
play my
he should
event.
have
Right.
then you should be able to wear my patch and not that one. As a player, you shouldn't have a problem with that, or don't play the event. And if you pull something, well, my sponsor says I can't do that. Well, you should, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You cut a really horrible deal with your sponsor, right? You should have negotiated that out because it's going to cost you an event because now you can't play, right?
Yeah,
if that's really the situation.
Paying you enough money for you not to play in that event.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think it's fair to if you're at an arachnid tournament to say, well, you can't wear like a Sheltie Radical shirt. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Oh, sure. I mean,
I don't see a problem with that. If you're playing a Ford event,
if you're playing in a Nike sponsored event and you're an Adidas supporter,
but golf doesn't do that.
You can't wear your Adidas shoes.
I don't think golf does that. I think does Phil Mickelson? Is it Cadillac sponsors him?
I believe so.
He plays the Buick tournaments.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? I mean, they,
Right.
but the PGA Tour of America probably tells the tournaments you can't do this. Right? And be a PGA event.
Well, there's no way you're going to sit there and say that the Buick Open is going to be not allow anybody that has any other car sponsorship is allowed to play in their event.
Well, no,
PGA
not that they can't play in the event, that they can't wear the patch.
Oh,
to say that you can't play in the event is like, what are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's right. That's ridiculous.
I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that. right? I mean, you
Yeah.
look at basketball. How many different kinds of shoes are guys wearing? They don't even match anymore. Which, by the way, if I could be president for a day, I would make it mandatory that baseball teams either all wear long pants or all wear short ones. I cannot stand these guys that are like, this guy's got the socks and this guy doesn't. I hate that, by the way. Just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
Okay, so open fair market policies I think are fair. I don't think I have any problem with that. And it would be better for everyone if that was the way things were run. I think in the long run. I think, to let one or two players play instead of banning them, you get way more goodwill for letting them play than you do getting the besmirchment of banning them, right? So I don't really get that. I mean, I get it, and I don't agree with it. Okay, two more. Responsive, accurate governance.
Expand on that, please.
I think that players are entitled to have governing bodies that actually listen to them and don't do stupid stuff, which is basic. I mean, if they're posting results, the results are accurate. If they're posting rules, the rules are accurate. If they're saying anything, they check their facts and stuff like that. And I think, I think for the most part, leagues are pretty good with that. But the responsiveness is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, if the players spoke in one voice, people would listen. As opposed to everybody, complaining to the one guy. This somebody at Windy City said to me once, they're like, it doesn't do any good to yell at me when you're in a bar. And I'm like, it's a bar league. You're in the bar. What, I gotta send you a formal letter or you're not going to listen? That's BS. You just don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, okay, fine. You don't want to hear it? Then, fine. It's not like the first time. I've had board members tell me that they were going to change something 11 years ago that's never been changed. Right. Okay. Well,
of course
I don't consider that responsive. No, they said they were going to change it, never did. I mean, I don't consider that responsive or accurate. If you ask somebody, how are the ratings calculated, and they can't tell you, that's a problem. Right?
Right.
If you send an email and they don't answer, that's a problem. If they don't update their Facebook page with the results from the tournament this weekend, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If they're not posting flyers in advance, that's a problem. All of this stuff, isn't that hard to do. If there's a tournament in Chicago and you're running the tournament and you haven't put flyers up in the dart bars, that's a problem.
Right.
See what I'm saying? I mean, this is basic stuff. This isn't even complicated. So I would think that Bill of Rights, I mean, I didn't know really how to phrase that. And then the last thing is uniformity.
Which we touched on.
Yeah, I mean, uniformity is like we should be doing, we should standardize stuff. Standardize the diddle. The ADO diddle rule is too complicated. Let's just get rid of it. And use the PDC diddle rule for professional events.
Right.
Or open events. The amateurs can, whatever. I mean, work out, however long it's going to, I mean, beginners can't maybe sit there 10 minutes without hitting a bull.
Yeah.
So why don't they just flip? Then if you can't hit if you don't want to use this diddle rule, then flip a coin.
But yeah, it's just like anything else.
Just flip a coin. If you can't hit a bull,
as you progress, and then once you get to the top, these are the rules, and that's what, and you know them. It's just like, well, I play college. These are the rules, but that's not the pro rule. But everybody knows what the pro rule is when you get to the pros.
You know what the amateurs? Yeah, it just occurred to me. What the amateurs should do is flip and go, alternate start, diddle last leg, and then make the last leg a PDC diddle. If you're going to have amateurs in it, just do it that way.
That would speed it up.
So it's only one diddle if you get that far. And if you're going to spend 10 minutes in the bowl, then at least you'll be warmed up.
Well, flipping a coin for some amateurs is just as lucky as hitting a...
Wow. And to be honest, the coin flip, the winner of the coin flip should get to decide whether they go first in the first leg or first in the second leg.
Yeah.
I think I like that better.
Right.
Because I actually root against the coin flip. I would rather go second and break your throw right off the bat, and then, I'll warm up on your throw. Right. Because you're starting in the first leg. I like that idea. So I would vote for a coin flip at the beginning, and the winner of the coin flip gets the option of starting. I like that better.
Right.
But anyway,
right.
okay. So these are kind of what I'm thinking should be in a Bill of Rights. If you guys want to add to it, send an email to darttalk@gmail.com, and we'll kind of see what we get, and we can revisit this next month or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks
Sounds
everybody
good.
for listening. Don't forget we have a website, darttalk.us. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher.com, on TuneIn.com. Just search for Dart Talk and bookmark it when you find it. We're also on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel, Dart Talk US. If you subscribe to it, it'll notify you when we upload the video after the show. We're here every Wednesday. What time? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock
8
Central.
o'clock Central.
9 o'clock Eastern. And I don't know. Safe travels, everybody going to Boston this weekend, huh?
Go Huskers.
Go Huskers. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll Dart Talk to you next week. Y'all take care.